Honorable Chief Guest, distinguished co-panelists on the dais, respected members from the Forward Press team, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my greetings to all of you, and a very special thanks to Forward Press team for inviting me here today. It's been a great opportunity of learning. I had only been hearing of the Forward Press. This is the first time I have ever come for this kind of a program which is being organized. And it's been a very enriching and enlightening experience, listening to so many of the respected speakers here. It is true, and almost all of us who are here today have reached a consensus that the caste system in India has been the basis of all forms of exploitation. Whether it is educational, whether it is social, psychological, all forms of exploitation emanates from the caste system, which is prevalent since times immemorial. And the worst is that when the country became free, independent, we had an aspiration that a new India will at least be free from these barriers. However, that did not happen. It's been more than 68 years of our independent status. But we are still here struggling with the issues of caste-based exploitation. And today we have a very interesting topic of discussion, the future of Bahujan culture and politics. Bahujan culture has been explained by many of our panelists very beautifully. And as far as the scope of Bahujan politics is concerned, I believe, and you would agree, that till the day Bahujans are going to be kept away from their genuine rights, the scope of Bahujan politics will continue to be in existence. There has been a lot of awareness in this segment, the marginalized section of the society, the SC, ST, OBCs. We have had a few intellectuals coming up from these segments. And of course, we cannot forget the contributions made by the social reformers who came to our rescue from time to time. Be it Dr. Ambedkar, be it Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, be it Ram Sarup Verma, Karpuri Thakur, all these people have created a history of awareness and revolution. And today, if we are here at this forum discussing the scope of Bahujan culture and politics, it is basically the outcome of the contributions made by such great men. And as far as the scope is concerned, as I said, as long as the Bahujans are going to be deprived of their rights, the scope will continue to exist. And because of the awareness which has come in the recent decades, there have been symbolic representations. How? Almost all the parties, the political parties here in India, they are being dominated by the upper caste. However, when any candidate is being fielded, because of the social awareness which has come to the masses, it has been clearly understood by the people who dominate these parties that if you do not give some lollipops to these sections, we cannot come to power. So they adopted the formula of symbolism. Symbolism like having a minority as the vice president or the president, having a Dalit as the speaker or the chairman, or having an OBC or a Dalit as the chief minister of a state. There are so many states in India. You take a look at Bihar or Madhya Pradesh or Uttar Pradesh, so many, where we have people coming from SC, ST or OBCs occupying the most prime position, which is supposed to be a position that will create a change to the grassroots level. However, just one person being changed and rest of the system remaining the same, the results are going to be absolutely hopeless. And that is something which is happening in India. When we have the past elections, I'm talking about the latest Lok Sabha elections, everybody talks about these elections as the caste barriers broke down, development was the agenda, people looked up to Mr. Modi. However, we would not disagree with the fact that the caste barriers broke, the regional parties could not retain their traditional vote banks with them, SC, ST, OBCs, everybody followed Modi. Why? Because Modi also created a perception that this is the first time in the history of the Bharatiya Janata Party that a person who belongs to an extremely backward caste is being projected as the prime ministerial candidate. So definitely the marginalized, the vulnerable section, it got some aspirations. It had hopes that if we give the opportunity to an extremely backward caste person to become the prime minister of the country, definitely he will have some sympathy for SC, STs and OBCs in the country. And this is when the caste barriers broke and people came up in favor of one man. And it was one man who created all the magic. But the reason was once again the same. SC, ST, OBCs, they want that their aspirations and their genuine demands must be taken care of. So as I was discussing about the symbolic representations, this is like there are various phases, various levels of transition. India is in the era of transition. This is like the first level that we have reached. At least we have created conditions, we have created an environment with this social revolution, with awareness and with continued efforts for long years, for decades, that this environment has been created wherein at least the dominant forces of the societies are willing to bow down and give at least a symbolic representation. Now, the journey doesn't end here. We have to move forward. We are understanding that right now the representation is only symbolic. It's not the real change that is happening at the grassroots level. And why that is not happening? Because once again, only one person will not make all the difference. The system continues to remain the same in the hands of the same old people. Now that also has to change. And for that, one of the instruments which was being provided by Dr. Ambedkar in the Constitution was reservation. However, reservation has been the most abused concept. Why? Because it will be subject to all attacks from all possible angles. Oh my God, reservation for so many years. Still SC, ST, OBCs are not satisfied. However, when we look into the actual figures, reservation for the OBCs came in the 90s. It's been more than 23, 24 years. But if we actually see the figures, I remember in class 1 services, the representation of the OBCs has only reached 4.7%. not 27%. Same has happened with the SCs, STs also. Their representation also is not more than 12%, 13% or 15%. So, despite the fact that reservation was given space in the constitution, despite continued voices being raised in favor of reservation, it has not been implemented effectively because the forces who are responsible for implementing are not in favor of implementing it. So now the second step of transition is that we have to take charge and make changes in the system, the executive, which needs transformation. And for that, education is going to be the biggest and the most potent instrument. One of the honorable speakers here said that, yes, I'm talking about this book, De-Brahmanizing History. I haven't read the book. However, the title itself says and communicates the theme of the book, De-Brahmanizing History. We are saying that history has been written by the Brahmins the way they wanted it. I remember I was in a Shivaji Jayanti program once when one person stood up and said that about Shivaji, when the history was written by these Brahmins to insult the backward communities, they created a big story about his Raj Tilak, that because Shivaji belonged to a lower caste, so his Raj Tilak could not be done by a Brahmin. So a Brahmin from Banaras was called, who was ailing, who was suffering from some disease, and then he did the Raj Tilak with some left toe. This kind of stupid history has been created, and it's being spoken over and over again. So the first step is that you kill the self-esteem of the people who belong to this section. A child who is born to a parent who is an SC or an ST or an OBC, when he is growing up, he is being made to feel that you are low. Because on the social hierarchy, your parents are not here. Your parents are here. I go to a school where I get the same education, I study the same mathematics, I study the same English, I study the same science. But when I go to the society, I am also being told that you are low. Because you are being born here on the ladder, not there on the ladder. So that is the feeling. Children who are being born in such communities are made to feel that you cannot have a sense of self-respect. Their self-esteem is killed from the very first day. So the first thing is that we have to educate, and when we educate, we also have to make them realize that you will face these kind of challenges in the society and you don't have to bow down to it. Because this will be perpetually done to you, so that you are not able to realize your full potential. And at the same time, we also have to make efforts to change the system. Of course, we have been compromising a lot when the time of election comes. And there are various reasons that the leaders who fight, who struggle in the name of social justice, they have to make many compromises. And the reason is because they are not fully empowered. So they make certain compromises because they want to remain in the power position, because they feel if they continue to remain in the power position, they will at least be able to deliver some benefits to the marginalized sections for whom they have been fighting. And I feel we can lower down the level of the compromises if we increase the rate of education in such segments of the society. This would be the only solution. There is no other solution to mental slavery other than education. That is the first thing, and that is the most important responsibility of each one of us. And as far as the scope of this Bahujan politics is concerned, till the day Bahujan segments are not represented in proportion to their population in all walks of life, Bahujan politics scope will continue to be in existence. So we have to make sure that we make it more fruitful, more beneficial, so that the Bahujans they get a sense of empowerment in them. I wanted to speak more, but my time is up, so maybe next time. Thank you so much.